Hey guys, thanks for joining us. So we're on again with Jeff Jacobson. As you know, we have been daily coming to you answering questions related to unemployment and basically some of the challenges that we've been facing in multiple states regarding how to file, especially with sites crashing, the wait time on phone calls, all that type of thing. As always, we're joined by Jeff Jacobson, who's here to give us advice on how to go about and answering common questions that we're noticing. We are generally streaming on a couple of groups. Illinois unemployment is our primary one where we're drawing some questions from because Jeff both based in Illinois. So Jeff is most familiar with the Illinois law, although as he will explain, federally, some of the things are pretty similar. So certain things can be answered, and Jeff will explain what he can and cannot answer. And one of the things we did to kind of change today up was kind of bring an inspirational element of this along. Jeff and I, to explain how we first got started, Jeff did a lot of kind of mentoring, coaching for a lot of members who had some questions regarding how to go about the unemployment filing. I work for a union that actually has a lot of sports personnel their industry was decimated with what's happening with COVID-19. So I was trying to get them some answers. Jeff and I kind of teamed up and helped walk a lot of our members through this process. One of the people who's joining us today, hopefully at the 4 o'clock hour Central, 5 o'clock Eastern, is Larry Lage, who's a writer out of Detroit for sports. And he's kind of taken it upon himself to create a fundraising site to help out sports freelancers. It's called the Freelance Sports Journalist Fundraiser. And I thought it was going to be kind of an inspirational, cool thing to talk about some of the work he's done and who he's been able to help. But without further ado, Jeff, if you're ready, give me a thumbs up. It looks like Jeff is ready. I'm going to pop him on to see if he's got some questions that have come up. I know I saw that he was monitoring the group and answering a couple of questions. Jeff, what are you hearing?
So things aren't going much better. That's going online, going via the phone is still slow. There are actually people that are still filing for unemployment, new claims every day. So the numbers are still large, and we still have people that are in most of the beginning part of the system. They're in either the application, the certification, and I think some people are moving towards the appeals part of it. Wanted to give some tips. There's a lot of people know it, and I want to thank everyone that's been on the Facebook page and helping others out. So the number to call in, and you'll see it soon, is 800-244-5631. If you hear the message, we are experiencing high call volume, hang up. There's nowhere you're going from there. Keep trying. Eventually, when you get past that, and it says you're either in the queue, then you move ahead. Now, we've been told that using the touch tone numbers of 2256 get you through the system faster. One person today had said they had spent 4 hours on hold. They were 7:30 in the morning. They started calling in. So it's still a very long time, 4 hours.
But we are noticing kind of a change from what it was last week when people were submitting screen grabs of waiting 12, 13 hours. So we are seeing the numbers coming down, but obviously still a lot of flux that they're dealing with over there, right, Jeff?
Oh yes, and I think there's still going to be people that are going to be in the queue for a long time. It just depends when you call in. There's so the problems are all over the board now that people are calling in from. Did their claim go through to they got to reset their password to they messed up on the cert. So couple things. The website has a screen to chat that pops up. It's not really a chat. What it is, it's a email system. So if you want, you can put your question in there and submit it. And I'm being told in a few days, someone will get back to you. So if you're calling in because of a problem, I would first do that. So at least you're in the callback queue. might get through by someone answering, but if it's going to take you a few days, someone will call you back. So use that chat pop-up, which isn't the chat, but use it. I think that will help. The other thing is they're saying when you're certifying, and that's when every 2 weeks you contact IDS to let them know that you haven't worked or what your wages are or whether your spouse is still, unemployed. If you mess up, the only solution is to log off close that web page. There is no way to go back. Also, if on teleserve, the phone number you call in, if it turns out you made an error on answering one of the questions, unfortunately, the only solution for that too is to hang up. Don't go through the process. There isn't an editing for either one. So, in summary, if you make an error on certifying, close that window or hang up and you have to start again.
Jeff, I'm seeing that you posted something to the group saying you now have an application for Illinois unemployment and the appeals form on your website. Have we still noticed kind of a slowdown on the state's actual, and kind of walk us through that process if you wouldn't mind?
So there are some people that are having trouble getting on still to appeal, or because of all sorts of reasons, they can't go through the internet to apply. So I have a form someone can print out. They can print out, fill it out, and mail it in. It's as good as going online. It's just not as quick. So go ahead and do that. The other thing is, if they're having problems and it can't get solved, they have a 30-day time frame for fixing it. So, for example, they're deemed ineligible for benefits, or their benefits are the wrong number, and they can't get it solved. They have 30 days to get it solved. Otherwise, it's deemed final. So before the 30 days, if they can't get solved, they need to file an appeal. They can't wait the 31 days. It's too late and it's final. So I've put the appeal form on so that they can appeal it, and you mail that in, and that starts your appeal process. So the day you mail it in, keep a record of it all, is the day your appeal starts. So don't wait 30 days, to send it in. And, and if the 30 days is on a Sunday, then Monday would be the next. But my recommendation is on the 28th day, you should have already had it in the mail to appeal. So so I've got those two forms. I don't think anyone needs really any other forms, but they can go to my website at jeffjacobsonlaw.com and go to the unemployment section. You'll find the forms.
Fantastic. And if you're just joining us, it looks like there is an influx of people coming in. This is a daily segment that Jeff Jacobson and I have been doing. This must be like the 12th or the 13th one we've been doing, kind of.
A lucky one, maybe.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So we initially started collaborating because Jeff had the knowledge, being a former appeals judge at IDES, and I had some friends, members, and then members of the community had asked about certain requirements for unemployment. So we started collaborating between his knowledge and Sarah, who's not here with me today, but my beautiful wife, Sarah, who's also our producer. We've been kind of coordinating this question and answer town hall to get questions answered for all of our viewers. Jeff, how's it been going? We've been getting a lot of very similar questions, but I think every time we reiterate some of the gotchas, we're able to help people out. For instance, what I've learned is don't say you're not available to work. Say you're available to work 5 days a week. Because even if you are watching from, say, Michigan, Illinois, Nevada, where the stay-at-home orders are still in effect, you are eligible to work because you can work from home according to how you explained it. Correct, Jeff?
Right. So because of the governor's order, you can't go to work, but that doesn't make you ineligible. So in Illinois, they defined ineligible is everything except because of the the governor's order. So if you have to stay home because the governor's order, you're still available to work. So when it asks you how many days you're unavailable, if it's because you're staying home because of the COVID-19, you are unavailable 0 days. You're able to go to work. It's just because of the governor's order. And we'll see how that's going. We talked about that over time too. That's been appealed on one of the cases, although I don't know if you saw, a church has filed to find that the order is unconstitutional and the church should be able to have its services. I think there's 80 members, if I remember, with the church. And the federal court said that the governor's order doesn't infringe on the constitutional rights, that the governor's order is, basically good. It's enforceable. Interesting, though, the case that the judge referred to is a 1905 case, and the plaintiff was Jacobson. No one I know, but yeah, so.
Somewhere along the family tree, maybe.
I don't know, probably.
So I think it's also important to make mention that the whole purpose of what we're doing here, as we have been doing, is to get your questions answered in this town hall format. Usually we have a link to pop up, ask your question yourself. I'm noticing now that might not be up, but you can still also comment. And if you have a question or if you have a comment that you put in the comment section, we'll be able to monitor it and actually get your questions answered for you, which is the whole point of this show, to get the information out there to make sure people know about the processes that they have to deal with. And Jeff, I know we've been talking about this, that we're probably going to, well, I think we were thinking that slowly we'd start seeing more of a backlog with appeals and less with the actual filing. But then, as you said, the filings seem to be going up as well. Do you think that's going to change when some of these states reopen on a national level, or is it hard to tell?
So, as you know, there's a lot of companies that are closing down. There's a lot of companies that are laying off people. So I don't anticipate there's going to be a huge change in the numbers. I think also a lot of the businesses are going to be slow to start up. So, it's interesting. I was just reading an article on large businesses filing for Chapter 11, and they can't file right now because one of the reasons that they could file for Chapter 11 is they can sell some of their assets. They can sell some of their business to get money to pay off the creditors. Well, now with everything closed down, their assets aren't worth a lot to help pay off their creditors. So it looks like for the Chapter 11, those bankruptcies aren't going to start up till, the economy is moving again. But I think there's going to be a lot of businesses that are closed down. I wanted to show, and we'll see if I can, that there's a map of the United States. Let's see if I can go for a second. Can you see that, Raza?
I cannot. No map is. Yeah, I can right now. Do you want me to punch it up on the screen here?
Well, it should be on my window.
Let me see if I can punch it up.
Hold on, I just lost it.
Bam.
It's.
Bam.
Let me.
And again.
I just lost it. Yeah, sorry about that. But there's.
No way, I like pushing that button.
Here it is. So this is job. Do you got it?
Boom. Yes. What am I looking at?
Okay.
What is this?
So this is jobless claims as a percentage of the labor force. So if you look, Illinois is one of the smallest percentages. So it's 7 to 13% approximately of people that have no jobs versus the labor force. Texas also is in that same one. And if you look at some of the states like Colorado, it's more than 23%. So the bright red are, those that are at a high level. So you've got Indiana that's 13 to 17.9%, and they have it at 15.1%. And those are people that aren't working as a percentage of the labor force, which I think is a good number. Instead of just looking at the total population, Illinois is at 11.5%. You got Wisconsin that's at 12.6%. So I thought that was at least an idea of how the states are with the percentage.
Well, Jeff, I was curious. Our neighboring states that have opened up, Wisconsin will be opening up soon, I believe. I think Missouri's in the process of opening up. I was going to ask you what the stats might be in those states, but they probably wouldn't be reflected as of yet, correct? That's probably going to come out later in the week.
Well, the jobless claims versus they're usually a month behind because the companies report to the Department of Labor and then they do a calculation on it. So it's not instantaneous. There are some organizations, ADP, that are trying to put together good numbers on what it is, but Wisconsin is 12.6 and Illinois is 11.5. So Wisconsin has a little more unemployment than we do. What was the other state you had?
Missouri as well. Missouri should be opening up from what I heard this week.
Yeah, so Missouri is at 12.9%. Michigan is at 23.8%. So those are obviously very high numbers. And it's, we'll see, because we've got a couple things. We're not going to get the data for quite some time on jobless. And then the coronavirus has got 2 weeks that it can sit in your body before some kind of, something happens. So there's, we'll see what happens with those states. It certainly would be great if we can all go back to last year at this time when there wasn't a coronavirus, or we didn't have to worry about it. And there's a lot. I also there's a couple sheriffs in Illinois that are saying they're not going to be enforcing the governor's order. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Can you elaborate on that? What exactly do you mean by that? Not enforcing his order for an extension of stay at home?
For the stay at home, for wearing the mask, they're not. They've said they're not going to enforce it. I don't know what they're actually going to do. Law enforcement has discretion in, when someone violates a crime, they're given discretion. They put their lives at stake, and sometimes they charge someone for violating a crime, and sometimes they don't. So I don't know if they're going to use their discretion or just never charge anyone. I mean, I would be worried if there's someone, an elderly, that's compromised and someone is, spitting and has coronavirus. But, we'll see. So, yeah. And the other interesting thing is there are people that have problems with masks. They have all sorts of issues, physical issues. So, those people,
allergies, for instance, or maybe heat sensitivity, or
well, so it can be anything from mental to physical. I mean, some people have a phobia of wearing a mask. Some people are asthma; they can't breathe with the mask. So there's all sorts of issues that we're just learning about. We're just addressing. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I have a P95 mask. That's one of the top. It's got the cartridges to breathe and stuff. Well, it turns out, I just found out, when I breathe out from that mask, there's nothing that filters my air for everyone around me. It filters all the air I breathe in. It's got the cartridges, so I get pure air. But when I breathe out, and you see that also on the N95s, when they have that little white plastic thing by the center of the mask,
Right.
that's just a little rubber seal. So when they breathe out, all their breath, their air, go out unfiltered. It's everything they breathe in through those masks that are filtered. So when we see people with those masks.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of the mask I'm using, which is just basically those little kind of I don't even have it here. It's like they look like little surgical masks, but they're saying that that's more to prevent anything I might have from going out into the environment, but doesn't really protect me from what's outside coming in. So it seems like yours is the exact opposite.
Well, right. Mine's filters far better than those masks for me. But it's, those masks, and there's, probably millions of people that are wearing the mask with a little plastic device on it, the valve. But yeah, so that's a problem. I was just reading too, if you use 600 thread per inch fabric and a piece of silk, that will stop the coronavirus. Even with just regular material, it's a high percentage. I think it's like 60% of the coronavirus won't get through. So those are certainly helpful, I think, based on statistics and research.
Jeff, well, one of the other things that we've been kind of looking at and covering in my industry is that there's a lot of scamsters, right? There's a lot of people who are out there selling masks that might not be good. We've actually seen it with our unemployment site. People are trying to broker, hey, we can help you get through to IDES faster, help you get through to your state unemployment agency faster. It seems like there's always people trying to take advantage when there's a crisis. What's some of the general advice we've been giving out about that, especially as related to our unemployment groups?
So my general advice for unemployment: do not pay anyone a single penny for some concept that you can get through the system faster. This is not like Disney World with an fast lane pass or a tour guide. You can't get through the system faster no matter how much you pay someone. So you're just wasting your money. And yes, there's all sorts of scams on the PPE. Even the government has been dealing with that, receiving products that turns out are not safe, don't meet the standards they claim they meet. I'd watch, and there's a lot of people now are
reason to do that with the government, don't you think? That seems like the fastest way to get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Well, it is, but I think every criminal is a little brazen. It's, they all think they're not going to get caught. So it's not a wise thing, but, be careful, because just because it says it's certified and has seals doesn't mean it does. I was driving last week and someone was selling masks out of the back of their car. I don't know whether they're good or not. You just have to be cautious and careful with that. And then the other thing is there's a lot of people calling around claiming they're a charity to help. Don't give anyone any money that calls you. Do a little research. There's a good chance you're just throwing the money away, that it's not actually going to where they say it is. So always, before you donate money, go online, do a little research. If you're skeptical, don't contribute. There's plenty of other good organizations locally, statewide, and nationally that you've known of and you've heard. So be careful of that.
That's fantastic advice. And
there's a lot of people donating food too. We just donated food. My wife brought a whole bunch of food over to charity to help those out that can't get food. I mean, there's people that don't have any money. The temp jobs aren't there, and it's very difficult. So.
And so just if you happen to be watching for the first time, we just want to give you a little synopsis of what it is Jeff and I do. We daily come on and kind of answer questions that people might have related to the unemployment situation right now, getting through, and kind of also talking up what to do in case the phone conversations are taking 12 hours or the websites keep crashing. Jeff has offered us some alternatives for that. So we've been doing that now almost a full week. We've been doing it prior to that, and we're going to continue to do it as much as we can.
We're also doing, like today, Raza, you're going to have someone come on completely different but relevant. So we're trying to get a lot of information out to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. So who we have coming on today is Larry Lage. I'm the vice president of a union that represents a lot of broadcast employees, specifically, news and sports. So a lot of our sports employees, freelancers, daily hires were, of course, tragically affected by what's happening and what's affecting a lot of people in our current environment. So Jeff was working with helping them learn what they can do to get the unemployment benefits that they deserve. We've had several seminars, and thank you for helping us with that, Jeff. Larry Lage, who's going to be joining us, has actually started a fund to help them. And so I kind of wanted to bring a little bit of inspiration and talk about some of that, which is going on. Before Larry comes on, which should be in about 5 minutes, we did get a question that I want to get addressed. I was notified today that with all my prior quarters that I did not make enough, 1508 out of 1600, I was denied. Is there anything that I can do to appeal? I am a high risk category in addition to being a caregiver for my 80-year-old dad. I am looking for a job, but as you know, not a lot of people are hiring.
So this is a person that one of the suggestions I would have for them is ask for an alternate benefit year. And as you know, for those of you that are new, your benefit year is 5 quarters ago, 4 quarters ago, 3 quarters ago, and 2 quarters ago. You can ask for an alternate benefit year that'll be 4 quarters ago, 3 quarters ago, 2 quarters ago, and 1 quarter ago to calculate it. It may turn out that alternate benefit year has more wages, so you do qualify. You would, though, if you don't qualify in this also, which you should probably have the numbers, I would qualify under the May 11th pandemic federal funding. So you supposedly the state on May 11th is for those that can't get unemployment benefits but have no income because of the COVID-19.
Fantastic. Jeff, I'm looking and seeing that in our preview box. Larry's joining us. Larry, if you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up on your camera. Okay. And if you are ready to be pulled on air, give me another thumbs up real quick. And great. So Jeff, we're going to be joined by Larry Lage, who's going to tell us a little about the Freelance Sports Journalist fundraiser that he has started. Obviously something that is very, very generous at a time like this, and we want to learn more about it. Larry, thank you for joining Jeff Jacobson and I. So please tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am a sports writer for the Associated Press, have been since 2000. I live in Ann Arbor. I have a wife who's a special ed middle school teacher and a 10th grade dancing daughter who's not dancing as much now because of the pandemic, and a son who's an 8th grader and not playing travel baseball like I would love to be watching him. But related to my visit here, 2 months ago now, just about, whatever the night that the NCAA tournament would have started in mid-March, it really started to hit me how huge this was as leagues and teams and organizations started canceling events. It was clear that this is going to be different, and I went to bed praying about it because I know so many people in sports media get paid by the event, by the news conference, by the assignment. They're assignment to assignment, paycheck to paycheck. And I went to bed thinking about them, praying about them, and I woke up the next morning thinking about them again, and I literally started to cry. And I decided in that moment, I'm going to try to do something. I have done Facebook fundraisers before for my birthday. My parents are deaf and my nephews are deaf. And one year I did a fundraiser for the Indiana School for the Deaf, raised a few grand. Most of that money went to the school. Facebook takes a very small percentage. I'm sure it's a third party, but we won't get into that. But they created a way to use social media for good. And I had experienced it myself and figured, you know what, I'm going to put $100 in this fund. My friends will come through. We'll raise a couple thousand. A handful of people I'm thinking about in Michigan, I'll send them a few $100, some goodwill and cheer, and go on my merry way. Well, very quickly, with the help of my friends on Facebook, we raised a couple $1,000. About a week into it, Jeff Seidel of the Detroit Free Press reached out to me wanting to write about it. And I said, as long as you can do me a favor and make it as clear as possible, I'm not doing this for me, the publicity that is. But he did a great job, and I've done a bunch of TV interviews. The Ringer did something on it. The Free Press, as I mentioned, the Ann Arbor News, Lansing State Journal, where I was a freelance journalist 23 years ago, making $25 an article. So the media has helped it go to another level, but frankly, in recent weeks, it's fallen off because people that were going to give have given. It hasn't reached many new faces and eyeballs. So hopefully, people watching this can give a little. And as I've said many times, if all of us do a little, we can do a lot. And I realize some people have lost their jobs. They can't spare $5. And I get that. But I hope that everyone watching this or listening to this can simply share the Facebook fundraiser on their own social channels, because everyone can do that for free. And there have been more than 100 people that I've given money to, from New York City to Los Angeles, in print, radio, TV, talent side, production side, front of the camera, behind the camera, even a makeup artist. And what's really neat is more than 90 of these people I didn't know 2 months ago. I'm not necessarily paying the mortgage or rent for anyone, maybe not even a car note, but if you have no income and a stranger sends you $100 or $200 or even 50, it means something to those people. And it was something I could do. That's a short answer, a long answer to your question.
Well, Larry, I appreciate that everything that you're doing and that you'd come on and share the message. I know we talked a little bit. I want to give you a little background as to how Jeff and I know each other. I'm the vice president of a union, NABIT, that represents a lot of the photographers, technicians. Jeff is an attorney, but he actually was an appeals judge with the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So he came on board and we started collaborating, because a lot of our members also needed help. No one had ever seen something like this hit so devastatingly and so fast, change worlds upside down. So we've been kind of doing these Facebook Lives to engage people. We were actually by a member in Michigan turned to what it is you're doing, who said, hey, you might really want to reach out to him. Just to tell the story, if there's donations that can be brought in, perhaps we can do that. Perhaps we can tell about what it is that you do. I put at the bottom of the screen an email address where our watchers can, our viewers can kind of correspond with you to find out more. Could you tell us a little bit about how many people have you helped? I know you said you've raised some money. How much did you raise, and how many people were you able to help to this point?
So the list that I have, I'm kind of keeping track on my own, because my accountant said as long as you pay out all the money that comes in, you're not going to have any problems, and no one you're giving money to is going to have any problems. So I have more than 100 names, just over 100 names on my Google Doc, from Los Angeles to New York City and all parts in between, that I've sent distributions to. On Facebook, $21,549 has been raised by 319 people.
Wow.
So 319 people over the last several weeks have combined on Facebook to give $21,549. And I say on Facebook because some people have reached out to me directly, some of the biggest names in the business. If people go onto the Facebook page, which I shared with you here in the little chat, and you can put on the bottom, perhaps maybe not clickable. My email address is really the best way because people can reach out to me, whether they want to share it, whether they want to donate, or whether they want to be on my list potentially to get money. And I say potentially because I need to raise more funds to give out more funds. And I need to do some accounting to make sure I haven't paid out more than I've received, or my wife will be on me for that. But more than 100 people have received donations from me, from the fund, as little as $100. And some freelancers closer to home have gotten more than that. And it started this way. So there was a handful of people I was thinking about in Michigan that really inspired my prayers and led to my tears the next morning. And I started with them. And then I sent a group text to about 20 AP sports writers all over the country, asking each of them to identify a person or two in their area that they knew depended on freelance income and didn't have another full-time job to lean on. And I got names from those folks. And then as I reached out to people, some declined it politely, saying whether they're, maybe in their young 20s and their parents can still be that safety net, or maybe someone felt like they weren't as needy as others. And for those people, I would obviously say thank you. And for anyone, I would say, find me someone who could use the help. Because everyone says, what can I do to help? And whoever asks that question, I say the same thing. Share this on your social media. That's free. Give if you can. 3, find me someone who needs the help. And so that's basically what I've done. And some of the people on this list are probably 3 or 4 removed from the original person that I connected with, which is really powerful as well. And every part of the industry has been affected by this. There are other efforts that I've seen on social media doing the same, and I applaud all those efforts. And I realize this is not a good time for a lot of people to donate. But like I said, it's free to share it on social media, and no donation is too small. If 100 people that's
you say that, Larry, but we're hearing about people that are getting their stimulus checks and they're donating that money. They've realized they don't need it. And like you said, there's a lot of people scraping together to try to just survive. So I applaud you on what you're doing, because there's, especially in that area, it's difficult.
And so, I mentioned how much we raised on Facebook, nearly $22,000. One famous sports media personality I won't mention sent me $2,500 directly to my Venmo. Another one has sent me $500 check, and others have sent me $1,000 or $2,000. I mean, we're talking about highly successful, rich people in our business who are grateful enough and appreciate enough that they're giving back monetarily and also on social media. We got a Woj bomb with this. Adrian Wojnarowski, maybe the number 1 pick in the NBA media draft, he tweeted this out to 2 million people. Dick Vitale has shared this. Desmond Howard has shared this. So I've gotten a lot of support from a lot of people, including both of you, and I appreciate that. The Facebook fundraiser, I started off with the default, which was 2 weeks, and it started to pop up to say that it was expiring, and I looked into options to extend it, and I extended it to the maximum of 3 months. Believe it or not, I think we're down to 5 weeks. So there's still time for people to give, to share, and hopefully for me to give. I mean, nothing would make me happier than to, let's say, raise another $5,000 so I can send $50 to 100 people. I would love to do that, but I can't do that if I don't get more donations. and I really don't want to ask the people who have already donated to donate again. Ideally, we find another 300 people that want to get on the team to help spread some money and some goodwill. And with a lot of these people, I mean, I've gotten tear-jerking responses and notes of thanks from people, and many of them say it means the world to me to have someone care, to have someone reach out and send $100 or $50 totally unsolicited. Maybe it's groceries, maybe it's gas. And some of these people have donated money in other ways. If you go down my Twitter timeline way back when this started, there's a gentleman by the name of John Root, who I did not know from Adam 2 months ago. He's the in-arena host for the San Jose Sharks. When this hit, he was out of work. He was connected to me by one of my friends in the business who declined my money, and I told her, find me somebody who could use it. She connected me with John Root. John Root then was inspired by it and went out and donated his time and services of goodwill in his area in San Jose and shared it on social media. I mean, it's so cool. And I've got a network of people that I've given money to that will be, acquaintances and in some way friends for life. And if there's anything I need from them, I would imagine they say yes, and vice versa. That's just kind of how I am. I'm so thankful to have the life I have. I'm by no means rich financially, but I pay my bills. My wife has a job. We're paying our bills. Our parents are healthy. We're healthy. And I know that with my friends and other folks that see this, we can do some good and maybe inspire other people to do something on their own, whether it's for the bar or restaurant industry or other ones that are hit hard. There are so many GoFundMes and other Facebook fundraisers and things like this helping different parts of our population that need our help. And I hope all of us can at least do a little.
I think that's absolutely a great and inspirational message. I can only imagine how much your Rolodex has grown with all the people that you've been able to help and also to be able to reach out to who have wanted to help you out. So you started in Michigan, you said, with people that you knew, and now this has gone across the country. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine the type of inspiration that this has served. Like you were talking about how some people are like, I might not need it, but I'm going to pass it along. Just like the member I had who said, this is someone that you need to get the message out. You need to talk about what's happening and how you can help. What are some of the other stories you've heard from people about what this has meant to them? Have you? I want to hear from you.
Yeah, well, I'll share this one because it was shared on the air with WLNS TV, the CBS affiliate in Lansing. Danny Wex is a talented TV reporter for different entities, and she lives in New York City. She was connected to me by someone else, and she sent me a note that made me cry the first 5 or 6 times I read it. I'll try not to recall it without crying, although it'd be good for your show perhaps. But anyway, she reached out to me and said thank you, in short, and that she got into sports because of her dad, who passed away years ago, and his name was Larry, and she's convinced that I was sent from him to let her know that everything was going to be okay. I mean, wow, right? And she shared that publicly, so I don't feel like I'm talking out of school sharing that with you. There's another person, I can't even tell you who it is, but has cancer and is a freelance sports media person, and he was also touched by my donation, which came out of the blue. There's a group of behind the scenes TV production people who are not unionized in Detroit, who work for primarily Sinclair Broadcasting, which bought the Fox regionals when Disney had to sell it. And there's been much to do about how Sinclair has handled this. The AP actually wrote a story about it. In short, the cameramen and women, the men and women holding cables, taking care of the audio, all the technical behind the scenes needs for almost all of the broadcasts that you see are largely independent contractors who work their city. When the games come to Detroit, these men and women go to work. When the games are in Chicago, it's a whole nother set of men and women going to work. And this plays out in Miami and New York and whatnot. And when there are no games, those people don't get paid. Now, there were some network partners like CBS, for example, paid their behind-the-scenes TV crew for the money they lost when the NCAA tournament was canceled. That was not the case with all TV production crews. So there are more than a dozen TV production guys in Detroit on my list. There are a lot of other outlets, won't get into names, that have a lot of freelance journalists that are out of work that are on my list. And I really think when you help someone that you don't know, that's like the best level of service you can give to humanity. It's one thing to help your family. It's another thing to help your friends. But if you're willing to help your neighbor on earth that you don't know, I think that's the best kind of help and community service that you can do. And I didn't intend to have that be a result of this. It just organically and perhaps divinely happened.
Well, we really appreciate everything you do. And just for a clarification, when I'm looking down and you're seeing it here, what I'm doing is answering questions and sharing this to sports groups and also to other people who might want to donate. We're seeing some questions come up here. How are these fundraisers categorized, and can they be found on one page in the link? And I do want to tell you that that link was provided to me, and I'm going to put it in the description right after this. It's got a lot of numbers, so if I put it in the caption here, I don't think it's going to do anyone.
Right, it's not clickable there.
But I am going to put that there. So, John, thank you for that question. And I myself will be donating as well afterwards. I think this is a very important cause, and I really thank you for stepping up. Like you were talking about with unions, even like some of our companies, ESPN, CBS, I mean, they paid certain amount before the cancellation fees about what was booking, but even those guys have had to kind of step back. So this was obviously very urgent. It gave us a chance to kind of get ahead of it, and Jeff and I talked to our members about how to look into unemployment, but I didn't even think of the people who immediately, when this went into effect, were immediately affected. So thank you for helping address their needs urgently and quickly.
And I just did this on another window browser, and I've done it before. But if anyone who wants to find the Facebook fundraiser, if you do this in a Google search, Facebook fundraiser, freelance sports journalists, it's the first one that pops up. And so pretty easy to find it with a Google search as well. Thank you for sharing my personal email. People can reach out to me. The best way to donate money is actually to contact me and get my PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or Zelle, because I get the money quicker and no one's taking any fees. I'm making this much in administrative costs out of this, which is nothing if you're not watching. So every dollar that comes into my bank is going to someone who needs it. And if you go on my Twitter timeline and scroll down a little bit, you'll see a little public dispute I had with Venmo because I maxed out the amount of money you could give in a given week. I believe it was $3,000. They've since raised my limit. And I guess because of like money laundering and other reasons, Venmo has these safeguards in place that I didn't foresee when I was trying to do good and send money, and they were holding me up. So I was sending people to PayPal, but it was kind of interesting. I also, you can see on my Twitter timeline, my Twitter handle is just my name, Larry Lage, Lage. I also did a shout out to Lake Trust Credit Union, where I do my banking, because they reversed a insufficient fee charge that I got because I was paying out quicker and more than the money was coming in. Because if you put $10 into my Facebook fundraiser, in about 10 days, I'll get $9.50 in my bank. So it takes a while. Facebook holds on to it, or its third party makes some money. I'm not mad at them. Then they send it to my bank. Bank makes some money for a couple of days, and then it makes it to me. So if people reach out to me via email, they're ldub@umich.edu. I can help them bypass that. Or if they're in the business and they need help, and I cannot promise anything, but chances are I'll be able to send something. It takes a lot of accounting for me to go through my list of 100 plus people, how much I've given them, double check those numbers through Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and Zelle, and even personal checks that I've written to some people who didn't have electronic means. So making that all match up is on my weekend to-do list.
Well, I got to ask you, you're a writer. I'm a television cameraman. I'm just speaking for myself, not for you, but mathematics is not my strong suit. Accounting, reconciling. This must have been a lot of learning that you've had to do in order to make this work, in order to help serve a group of people who needed it. How have you been able to do it? And a follow-up question: What are you writing about right now? What are the stories out there? Just that's out of my own curiosity.
Right. So first, like I said, the money came in with Facebook, and I took the money in, and I was sitting on a little bit of a cushion in my bank account. So I just started sending the money out because I knew it was coming in. I didn't realize it would take a while. Through PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, and Venmo and checks, that's how I sent the money out. And I just created a simple Google Doc with the person's name, how I pay them, and how much I pay them. And then every week I would kind of go through and do another wave of money and write how much I gave them and double check that. I have not done that in a while because, as you can imagine, it takes a lot of time to go through 103 names and double check my math. And the money you see on Facebook and the money that I've gotten personally isn't necessarily the money that shows up in my bank. So I have to reconcile the fee that Facebook or its third party takes. And I'm sure there's probably more efficient ways to do it. I certainly don't have like an Excel sheet, which would probably make some of this easier. And I'm not looking for volunteers because I have a lot of personal information on there. I'll never make this list public. If people want to shout me out on social media and say thank you, that's fine. I'm not doing it for that. And then in terms of what I'm writing about for the AP, going into the pandemic and during the pandemic, one story has unfortunately stayed on my radar, and that is the late Dr. Robert Anderson, who was a sports doctor at the University of Michigan, in death, is facing hundreds of allegations of sexual abuse from former University of Michigan athletes. So those accusers are coming out. They're lawyered up. They're suing. They're talking out of court. University's responding. The university actually came to me and a colleague from AP the other day and gave us something first because they appreciated our balanced coverage, which we obviously strive to do with every story. So that's nice. Other than that, I was on a Zoom today with the Detroit Lions coach. And while I'm not writing about anything per se off of the interview, I shared with our AP team that I would have access to the coach. Let me know if you're working on something. And I asked a couple questions for a colleague in Atlanta, a colleague in Indianapolis, and a colleague in Philly, I think, all writing different things. And I contributed what was said by the Lions coach. Also, I've been helping out with our news operation. something that's called the Nerve Center at the Associated Press, is kind of the air traffic control group that is looking at all of the stories we have coming in internationally, domestically, politics, the pandemic, business, sports, entertainment. I'm in that world right now, helping out because there's not as many things on a sports writer's plate these days, and the company needs some help over there, and they thought I'd be into it. I'm also going to be hosting a couple podcasts for the Associated Press. We have a podcast called Ground Game that your viewers or listeners can find anywhere they find podcasts. It's called Ground Game, and it's an inside look at how AP is covering the pandemic. One of the biggest ongoing stories AP has covered in its 170-year history. So I've been really busy, and my days fly 8 to 4. I'm very stimulated and excited and challenged by new opportunities at the Associated Press outside of what has been my comfort zone for 20 years in the company. And it's great. I'm appreciated. I'm helping out. I'm getting to do something that is an amazing opportunity for me, because what a significant time in our history as human beings, and to be working for one of the world's largest news gathering organizations on the inside is incredible. And I got my degree from Michigan State University in 1995. Bill Clinton was my commencement speaker, and his first public comments after the Oklahoma City bombing, just to kind of put that in a time capsule for you. So I got my degree in elementary ed just in case my dream didn't work out. And I'm telling you this because my minors are political science and history, which play in really well if you're following the news right now. We are living history, and the intersection of politics, science, health, safety, security, all of that, the inner workings of that is so fascinating to me, and how interconnected we are as a planet is, on this planet is amazing to me. The fact that this pandemic that is affecting us in the United States is affecting people in India and Brazil and Spain and my homeland of Italy. It's pretty incredible. It's not a good incredible, or maybe good will come out of this, although a lot of deaths. So it's hard to think that or tell those families that something's good going to come out of this. But long story short, I'm helping out on our news side and also keeping my sports hat on a little bit each day, making calls and a lot of Zooms. And like I said, the days go by like this for me.
Absolutely. Jeff, I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to freelance for Associated Press television network years ago. And I got to say, it's one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life to work for a corporative news like agency like that. And just like you were saying, for them to find a place that you can help out with news, to be working with this podcast. I mean, that sounds like they're on top of making the most of the coverage for this and getting that vital information out. And we really appreciate you for getting this vital financial funding out to the people in our sporting world community who absolutely need it, people that you didn't know, but you knew the circumstances they were going to deal with, and setting out to help them move forward. Is there any thought you want to leave us with? I know you had to run at 4:30, but is it 5:30 your time? Is there any thoughts you wanted to leave us with?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity and the interest to help spread the word. And if even a handful of people see this and share it on their own social media networks, and donate a little money, that's awesome. The ask is always that you share it on your social media, because even if you don't have any money, that's free. I can't imagine there's anybody in the world that would have a problem with you putting this on your feed. There's obviously a lot of fundraisers out there. I'm not saying this is the only one, but I can guarantee that any dollar that hits my bank will go into the pockets and with a touch into their soul as well. And I just hope that people stay safe and, do what they're supposed to do, and yet get outside and walk every day, no matter where you live. That'll be one of the good things that I take out of this. I have become a daily morning walker. I used to work out pretty regularly at Orange Theory Fitness, and I'm still doing some of that online. But, I was never a person that would like go out on, a morning walk. That always seemed like something old people would do. But now I'm one of them, 11 days from my 47th birthday. So hopefully.
You're not old.
No, I know I'm not. But it just seemed like, like who's walking at 7 in the morning, right? I would think you would, even 3 months ago, I wouldn't think I would do that. And, I hope everybody that is going through this is looking at their life and making some positive change or some positive takeaway out of this. And I know that it might be easier for someone to say in a 2-income house with a healthy family. But nonetheless, I hope people take care of themselves and take care of each other. So I appreciate your interest and the opportunity to help spread the word.
Well, thank you very much.
Your email, sorry about that, Raza, for people that are just listening so they know how to get a hold of you.
Yep. So it's L as in Larry, D as in dog, U as in umbrella, B as in boy, at UMich, as in University of Michigan, UMich.edu. People can also find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just very simply my name, which is Larry Lage, like Cage or Page, Lage is how it's spelled. I'm not hard to find. And if you Google Facebook Freelance Sports Fundraiser, you'll find it. So lots of opportunities to help me spread the word and hopefully do some more good for a lot of people who need it, men and women, coast to coast, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, people's kids, a lot of parents out there hoping their kids get off the payroll here. So we can help them a little bit.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that too. I've become a daily walker myself, and not really for health reasons, just to get away from my kids because
yeah, right.
The situation like this with us all here, you probably hear them in the background rustling around. That's part of the
it's called gnat sound.
That's it. That's what we call it in our industry. And you get a lot of that when you got 3 kids running around while you're trying to do a show. But again, Larry Lage, creator of Freelance Sports Fundraiser, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to put the links up to make sure that people know how to donate. You've done excellent work, helped a lot of people, and hopefully we can keep that coming in. Thank you so much for joining us, Larry. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, and shout out to the 100+ people that liked your page today after I shared it with all my friends.
I'm telling you, man, when I saw all those likes come in, I'm like, wow, where was this guy from the beginning? But
yeah, right.
Absolutely, and it's great that that you're from Michigan as well. We've got a lot of members from Michigan. We have people, Jeff, you and I were talking to people from Texas, Iowa, and Michigan, and it's just a lot of people who need help, and that's why it's so good to see that you've been able to help and reach these people from all across the country, all corners of the world. And thank you again to your dedicated followers and people who have come to watch the show as well. We really appreciate that. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
All right,
bye.
Bye. Well, Jeff, I think that was inspirational. I know sometimes we've been doing this for 2 weeks where we talk to people about the unemployment situation, and it's grim. It's not fun. It's not something that either of us look forward to, like, oh, let's have a great show. It's more like it's a public service. It's something that there's information that needs to get out there. But to hear a story like that, hear someone who saw a need and stepped up to benefit people, I think that really it's invigorating. It shows some of the good stories.
Work he has to do, like you mentioned. He didn't know accounting. He's got to deal with a whole bunch of companies and getting out and doing interviews. And this is incredible. And he's doing it because he's helping people. He's not doing it for a profit, which I think is, what all three of us goals are. And a lot of people, the people that are donating, it's just an incredible thing. And so hopefully after they listen to the show, a lot of people will go out and help. I don't know if I'll walk, but, definitely try to help more people.
Absolutely. We just got a comment here. Thank you for sharing this. It's a global pandemic and we all need to work together. That's exactly what you're doing. And John, you're absolutely right. That's what all of us are trying to do. Even when we've talked about this countless times too, Jeff, when we have these seminars, we have people who comment, who start helping each other out organically. Hey, you're having this situation. This is what worked for me. Try to do this dial up, try to do it this way. And that's what it's about. We've got to come together. And I think that's what humanity is kind of all about. No matter what challenges are put, we're physically separated. We're doing this all technologically, but we're all coming together. We're coming together to kind of help humanity, help our fellow brothers and sisters who are out there dealing with the exact same uncertainty that we are. But we come out of it, I think, a little better knowing that we are there for each other, despite what obstacles and circumstances that we're forced to deal with.
Well, and I couldn't agree with you more. The people that are working to help others, from the first responders, the nurses that are doing double shifts, the people that are donating money, the people that are organizing food for food pantries, all these people, it's I can't express how great it feels to know that there are so many people that want to help others out when they need it. It's, I think that for me is what life is about, is helping others out when they need it. It's, so this is, this show is taken off and I think it's really great what people are doing. For me, it's just amazing to see on the Facebook page all the people that are helping others. A lot of the people can ask their question, leave, but there are people that are checking our Facebook page. They're answering questions. They're helping people out. They're helping people with the frustration. They're helping people get through this time. And that's just an incredible, feat what these people are doing.
It's truly become a community. Like you said, they get their question answered, but then they're there to help other people. They're like, okay, so this is what I did to get over it. It really is people coming together and in this situation, just stepping up and doing what needs to be done. And I think that's great. That's certainly a byproduct that I did not expect when we created this, but it's really inspirational and invigorating to see. And again, just if you're joining us, this is part of a daily show we've been doing now. This is our second consecutive week, minus the Saturday and the Sunday, where we've kind of been doing a lot of these. Prior to this, we've done workshops and we've done things as it could, but Jeff and I are both committed. Sarah, when she can join us, are committed to getting the information out there, to answering your questions as long as we need to. This is a process that hopefully won't last as long as it could, but you never know. And we need to be out there providing those resources, that information.
So we're going to be on 7 p.m. tomorrow?
I believe that is correct. Yes. So this week, because of obligations, was a little more scattered. Last week, it was 1 o'clock pretty regularly. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock to answer your questions. And we'll post the rest of the schedule for this week. And then next week, it's going to be noon. It's going to be a lunchtime business hour. Jeff Jacobson, Raza Siddiqui.
Non-business hour.
All right. I hope I didn't infringe any copyrights with that, but it's essentially going to be an opportunity to dialogue and get your questions answered. We anticipate that at some point it's probably going to be more about the appeals processes, with people having some situations as those come up. But whatever your question, we're going to be here ready to answer those for you. Jeff, anything you want to leave it on?
No, I think that's it for right now. I think we'll leave it on a positive note. Hopefully everyone stays safe till tomorrow, and I'll see everyone then.
See you then, Jeff. Thank you again. Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.